Hey guys, welcome back. This recipe is a grown-up, healthier version of a kid's favorite meal, and it is downright delicious. And would you believe me if I said that this is totally gluten-free and low in carb? I use chicken breast or chicken tenders and bake it in the oven, and the egg wash is totally optional. But you still get a very nice, light, crisp chicken breast. So let's get cooking. The very first thing we're going to do is actually going to flavor the chicken breast, and it's a very simple way. I'm going to use egg as a base. So one egg, oops, and not the shells. So it happens to all of us. Anyway, shells off, one egg, salt. Now seasoning is very important, so you need to be generous on the salt here, because this is going to be the coating, the base coating for the chicken breast. Cracked pepper and a tiny quantity of water, literally a tablespoon of water. And this needs to be whisked quite well so it's nice and smooth. Now what this does is the water breaks down the egg and makes it into a very smooth paste. And when we add the chicken into the egg mixture, it coats the chicken well. And that helps the crumbs to stick onto the coating outside. So when you actually bake it or when you fry it, you get a nice even coating. But the seasoning is extremely important because it flavors the chicken breast at the same time. A lot of times you try and do fried food, but it's not seasoned from the inside. The seasoning here is very important. That is done. And all you do is now is you put your slices or strips of chicken breast and stir it together, but make sure that each side of the chicken strips is coated with the egg mixture. This is ready, almost done. You can keep it aside for literally 10 to 12 minutes for flavors to soak in. The next step is to bake the flour. Now we call it a flour, but actually not a flour, it's a powder. It's a powder of almond. So I'm going to make an almond flour. For that I've got a food processor. I'm going to add half the quantity of the almond flour, of the almonds. And with this manual processor, the idea is to make the almonds into like a coarse powder, so it resembles a flour. So all the almonds go in now. I also add some salt to season the flour, some oregano, and I've got smoked paprika powder. You can use cayenne pepper, you can use red chili powder, it works quite well. And lastly, desiccated coconut. You can also use coconut flakes if you have. Now coconut and almond, when you whip all this up with the spices, it becomes into a nice powder. And this powder is then called as an almond flour or a coconut almond flour, and this becomes the coating for our marinated chicken strips. Done. Let's have a look. Need to make it a bit more finer. This should be almost ready by now. Let's have a look. Yes, there you go. Look at that. It's turned into a powder. Now you can buy almond powder in the market, that's perfectly fine. Or you can get the blanched almonds or the almond flakes without the skin on top, and that works equally better. But this I like it quite nicely because it's got the skin on it. I do like the color, the slight brown color, it works quite well. Also when you bake it, it gives a very nice dark shade to the chicken. But if you have plain almond flour, use that, that would also work well. So I'm going to transfer my almond and coconut flour with oregano and red chili onto a bowl or a tray, and this is going to be the crusting for the chicken strips. So we have our almond and a coconut flour. I've got my chicken breast strips into a marinade of egg, salt and cracked pepper, and I've got my roasting tray. Normally people like to then crust your dishes and then you deep fry it. Works perfectly fine. I like to go a bit healthy, so I'm going to bake them in an oven. So before we crumb our chicken strips, there is a tip and a trick to remember. Always squeeze out all the excess marinade or moisture from the chicken breast. Literally let it drain out. Keep one hand always dry and don't make it wet. One piece at a time. You put your chicken breast and then you crumb them with the almond flour and make sure it is evenly crumbed. Never try and put lots of chicken together. Do it one by one, and don't need to pack it very tightly. Just gently crumb it. The egg is moist, it holds the flour around it. Now you can use sesame seeds, you can use breadcrumbs, you can use cornflakes, you can do anything which you like. This is my version with almond and coconut flour. Now once this is done, you see how nicely it's done? It's evenly coated. This needs to go onto a tray. I have a tray here, a wire rack with the tray, and I'm going to keep my pieces of chicken onto it. I'll come back to that a bit later, but first let's do a few more pieces. So that is the last one, the last chicken strip, which has been crusted with the almond and coconut flour, and onto the tray. Now the sequencing of the tray is very important. Try and put it onto a wire rack resting onto a tray. The reason for that is when you actually put it into an oven, and this is going to go at a preheated oven at 200 degrees centigrade or approximately 390 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. The heat is going to go around the pieces of chicken breast and it will cook it very evenly. If this lies on the tray, the bottom will get a bit more cooked or more colored, but because you have an air oven or convection oven, this air moves around it, and the grill or the wire rack helps it to space it out and for the air to breathe and move around, and what you get is a very evenly coated roasted or baked chicken dish. So this goes in the oven at 200 degrees centigrade, 390 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 15 minutes. To accompany the almond chicken bake, I'm actually going to do a dip, and that's made out of yogurt. So it's yogurt and mustard. I've got thick yogurt here, and in that I'm going to add in a generous tablespoon of grainy mustard paste. Now you can use a normal smooth mustard paste, or you can also use the Bengali kasundi, which is the mustard, which is actually quite nice. This is easily available for me, the grainy mustard paste, so I like to use that. And don't forget that this grainy mustard paste already has a salt content which is very high, so you don't need to add any more salt into it. And all you do is just whisk the yogurt and the mustard together. Now if you want, you can use creme fraiche, or you can use sour cream. Even that would work well. If you don't like mustard, you can probably add some olives into it, or you can add sun-dried tomatoes or cucumber. Even that would work well. There we are. The mustard dip is ready, and all we have to do now is wait for our almond coconut chicken bake to get ready and enjoy. Here we are. Our almond and coconut chicken bake is ready. I must say it does smell very, very nice, very inviting. I'm going to plate it up. So I've got a wonderful plate little mustard dip and these piping hot chicken strips with almond and coconut. Just arrange them randomly. You can have it like a whole meal along with the salad, some leaves, some cherry tomatoes, vegetables. It works quite well. Or you can have it like a snack with a dip. It's equally good. There we have a very simple dish to make, but lots of flavor. Is almond, is coconut, is smoked paprika powder, oregano and chicken breast along with a mustard dip. Make sure you try it at home, but before you try it, I'm going to try a little bite to see how it is. Look at that. Nice and white, is cooked through. Oh. The crunchy flavor of the almonds, the coconut works extremely well. Make sure you try it at home, make it for your friends and family, and don't forget to tag me. So until next time, happy cooking.